Hey guys, and welcome to the second tutorial with Adobe Audition. I decided this week to step back and compare sending a clip over to sending a sequence over to Adobe Audition, because this is something you might do. In this situation, I've got this documentary here in my sequence, and I want to clean up all the audio, and I also want to add music and sound effects, ambient sound effects behind it. So in that situation, it makes more sense to send the whole sequence over instead of the clip. So what we did last week was we selected a clip and we right-clicked and we said Edit Clip in Adobe Audition. That sent it to Audition, we made our changes, we popped back to Premiere, and they updated. We're going to do a different workflow this week. We're going to send the whole sequence. And when you send the whole sequence, it's not technically a round trip anymore. We'll basically send it over, we'll make our changes, and then we have to export a mix back to here. So let's look at the workflow. I'm going to select my sequence here in the project, and you can right click on it and say Edit in Adobe Audition, and it gives you the choice of sequence instead of clip. We're going to click that. And the name, you can leave this the same. Export Preview Audio is saying that it's going to render a reference movie so we can see what's going on. We definitely want to do that because that way, you know, like in this situation, it's mainly somebody talking. We want to see what's going on with it. Render Audio Clip Effects. I leave Render Audio Clip Effects unchecked if I've done any previous work in here. Let's say I've added some EQ, added some reverb, and then I decided I wanted to send it all over. I want to uncheck that because otherwise it will render those effects to Adobe Audition. That defeats the purpose of us sending it over and cleaning it up. So uncheck this if you've applied audio effects in Premiere Pro. I leave these two checked. I'm going to say OK. And I'm just going to say overwrite. It did that because I did a test of this earlier. It's going to render out the movie for us, so that's what it's doing now, and then it's going to launch Adobe Audition. Okay, so here we are in Adobe Audition. I'm going to reset this Edit Audio Video to default because this is what you're going to see. When you send it over, let's just play it.
I think it is good and important for someone to have.
Okay, so you can see we have video down here that's playing with it. I like to change this workspace to Edit Audio to Video. That puts it up in the top left corner here, and I find this, easier to see. You can also, rearrange these layouts, make the video bigger. And then if I did that, what you could do is go to Workspace and say New Workspace. And I'm going to call it Clay Audio for Video. So definitely spend a little time, customize your workspaces. It's going to save you time in the end. Okay, so we have that. We've got our clips here. The cool thing with this, if we wanted to, we could break this up. So we could just drag this down. So this would allow us to do fades. So we could come in here and we've got these broken out to separate tracks. Now, an interesting thing, when you apply noise reduction like we did last week, it doesn't work on a multi-track level, it works on a waveform level. You'll see right now, if we look over here, we're in multi-track. If you click waveform, that'll show you the waveform of the clip that's selected. So we're in multi-track, so if we go to this first clip here and we double click, we're basically stepping into this. And then we would make our, we would reduce noise here, so we'd make our selection. Noise reduction process, we would click Capture Noise Print, select entire file, say apply. So it applies the effect on the waveform level, and then when you step back out to the multi-track, it has applied it, but it did it on the waveform. So when you work with noise reduction and you're working with a multi-track or sequence you sent, you're going to step into the clip, which basically takes you in a waveform mode, make your changes, and then step back to multi-track. Now we can download sound effects libraries and music to help us add to this. So we could put some ambient sounds behind him. We could put some music loops in here. And what you do is you go to Help and you go Download Sound Effects and More. And this is going to go and launch your browser. You need to create a free account with Adobe. So if you create a free account with Adobe, you can then download all this stuff. You just say, I agree. And then here, there's sound effects. There's whole libraries of ambience. You can see there's specific stuff like drones, which is better for promos and things like that. Impacts, industry, there's all kinds of stuff in here. So definitely download the stuff. And then back in Audition, you can basically put those sounds on other tracks here. So let's say we've finished working in here and we want to get back to Premiere Pro. Again, there is no round trip in this situation. What we need to do is go to multi-track and say export to Adobe Premiere Pro. You can leave the name the same. Under options, you probably don't want to export each track as a stem. You want to click mix down selection. And in most cases, you're going to be doing stereo file. So check that. And then leave Open in Adobe Premiere Pro selected. Click Export. It's going to take us back to Premiere Pro. And then this little dialog opens and says, do you want to copy it to a new audio track? You don't want to replace a pre-existing track. So just say OK to new audio track. It gives us our mix. You can roll this down here and make this larger. So here's what we did in Adobe Audition. And then I can just turn off these other tracks. So that's the comparison of sending clip audio over to Adobe Audition as opposed to sending it as a sequence.